J.B. Duke and his accomplishments. Before we get into his accomplishments, I feel like you should know where he came from. So he is the youngest child in his family. They're from North Carolina. And tobacco was started by his father. Before the Civil War, his dad was a farmer. Then he fought in the Civil War, and after that, he stopped farming to fully focus on tobacco. He started tobacco farming in 1865, and J.B. and Benjamin took over in 1878. Their first factory that the Duke brothers built was in Durham, North Carolina. This is a picture of his family. From left to right, it's his father, Washington, his mother, Artelia. That's Duke right there with the star on his face, and Benjamin, his brothers, in the back.
He used the Bonsack cigarette machine to roll cigarettes, which was able to produce the amount of cigarettes in one day that it would take 48 workers to hand roll. With this, it made cigarettes way more accessible to anyone who needed them. Cigarettes were a part of the culture during that time, and it was very normal to see everyone with a cigarette. And using this technique, J.B. Duke was able to take over the industry.
Here's an image of the Bonsack cigarette machine that Duke used in his factories. So about his factories and his business. So his business was created by merging multiple smaller companies, so he dominated the industry by doing that. And he once again invented the actual cigarette manufacturing. He used that machine we mentioned before, and that way made them way more accessible. And this helped the economy flourish because it was one of the first major factories in the South, and they were really dependent on it. But since it was so large and successful, it helped the South as a whole. Alongside the American Tobacco Company, Duke Energy was born. Duke Energy built dams along the Catawba River using hydroelectric power. This was good for the economy, especially in Piedmont, Carolinas. It allowed for affordable energy for the Southeast and Midwest. Duke Energy focuses on impact with the environment, economy, workforce, education, and community, ensuring that all of these factors are met appropriately. Duke Energy also works with farmers to become more sustainable and reliable.
Here is a picture of just one of the dams that Duke built to power his factories. These dams used hydropower to power the factories, and this helped a ton with pollution. And this is such a great source of renewable energy that it is still used today in a lot of our manufacturing.
James Buchanan Duke also created an endowment called the Duke Endowment, and it provides $40 million for different causes that he supports. 46% of it goes to colleges such as Davidson College, Duke University, Furman University, and John C. Smith University. 32% goes to hospitals and funds children and family well-being from kids who are abused. Duke originally signed the endowment for his university so he could create it. It was signed on December 11th in 1924, and it says, "I have selected Duke University as one of the principal objects of this trust because I recognize that education, when conducted along sane and practical as opposed to dogmatic and theoretical line, is, next to religion, the greatest civilizing influence."
The endowment also donated a lot to orphanages, and it used a lot of its money to make hospitals in the Carolinas because healthcare was not that good in the South. He also donated to elderly Methodists because his family was Methodist, so he still remained supportive of that cause. Before he died, Duke donated another $7 million back into his endowment for Duke University to continue designing and building and just becoming the bigger college that it is now. He donated that money also to ensure that his college would be finished with his vision, how he would like it. Duke University, formerly known as Trinity College, is a private school with a 7% acceptance rate and a 96% graduation rate, showing a high quality of education. Duke University allowed women's education in 1892. Alongside that, there were many protests by African Americans to admit them, and Duke University listened, creating the Department of African American Studies. Duke cared about the youth, and that is why he created Duke University to further educate the American population. Duke University includes diverse degrees and a diverse campus, as well as athletic achievements. Lastly, 50% of their student body is composed of international students and people of color. Duke University is constantly evolving to make themselves a better place. Here's Duke University whenever it first opened in 1924 compared to what it looks like now in modern day. In regards to Duke's personal life, he was married twice. In his second marriage, he had a daughter who was named Doris. He was a very big family man. He really valued family and taking care of his family. Sadly, his wife cheated on him, so they did get divorced, but he still remained close with his daughter and took care of her a lot. He lived in North Carolina and New Jersey, where he had Duke Farms, but his main residence was North Carolina. And eventually, he died of an illness in New York City at the age of 68.
Some interesting facts about J.P. Duke are that his mother and half-brother died when he was only 2 years old. This tragic death led to him being so supportive of orphanages, and later that's why they are part of his endowment. Another fact, he had a passion for horticulture, which grew to be one of his hobbies. Horticulture is whenever you are gardening a lot and the practice of gardening on a professional level. He renamed Trinity College to Duke University in honor of his father.
Duke and all he accomplished in his lifetime is still very impactful today. The Duke Endowment still has more than $2.7 million in it, distributed across the Carolinas today. Duke University is also still very relevant and somewhat prestigious. It's ranked 6th out of all the national universities. Also, even though we know smoking is now very harmful to a person, it's still super common, and without his cigarette machine, we would not have cigarettes, so that still has an impact on society today. And the company did split after his death, but they use similar machines to the ones that he made very common.